Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. There are 5 days until the election. It's a toss-up, and the key for Donald Trump's campaign in the less than closing week is something that's been key all along. The key is to make sure people aren't actually paying that much attention, too much attention, to what Trump and his cronies will actually do with power. Polling shows that voters aren't crazy about a whole bunch of Trump's policy ideas, huge tax cut for billionaires, for example, especially compared with policy proposals coming out of the Harris campaign. And one of the biggest liabilities the Trump campaign has had all along, all year long, was when its policy agenda was explicitly just written down and spelled out in black and white for voters. That, of course, was Project 2025, a 900-page detailed document written by top conservatives who actually kind of know what they're talking about, dozens of Trump loyalists and former aides, and it's a blueprint for Republican White House to radically remake the federal government and staff it with toadies and yes men. Now, Trump and his campaign have spent all summer trying to distance themselves from Project 2025 after it turned out to be politically radioactive, even though, all the Trump circle is like all the people that wrote Project 2020, right? But if you thought Project 2025 was bad, just wait. Because now, in this last week, as the Trump campaign is on the cusp of an election they think they can win, on the cusp of maybe getting back into power, they're letting slip what exactly they're going to do with that power. And it's genuinely repellent and horrifying, a kind of zombified Frankenstein version of Project 2025 just in time for Halloween. Take healthcare, for example. For more than a decade now, Republicans have dreamed of killing the Affordable Care Act. They've tried to do it multiple times. In his one debate with Kamala Harris, Trump said he, infamously, had concepts of a plan to replace Obamacare. Those concepts got a bit of a boost this week on the campaign trail from the House Speaker, Mike Johnson.
We want to take a blowtorch to the regulatory state, okay? Yeah. I mean, these agencies have been weaponized against the people, and it's crushing the free market. It's like a boot on the neck of job creators and entrepreneurs and risk takers. And so healthcare is one of the sectors, but we need this across the board, and Trump's going to go big. I mean, he's only going to have one more term, right? Can't run for re-election. Right. And so he's going to be thinking about legacy, and we're going to fix all these things. And,
no Obamacare?
No Obama. Yeah, the ACA is so deeply ingrained. We need massive reform to make this work, and we got a lot of ideas on how to do that.
So Mike Johnson, blowtorch, right? Go big. He's hoping to be Speaker. Republican trifecta is telling you they're going to go to try to end the Affordable Care Act. Now, he sought to clarify those comments after they were widely reported because, again, they understand that's not popular, saying, I offered no such promise to end Obamacare. In fact, acknowledge the policy is deeply ingrained in our healthcare system. Okay, fine. Sure, don't call it repeal. They're just going to try to make big changes to it. Blowtorch, go big, massive reform of a healthcare system and of protections that millions of Americans have come to rely on. Johnson's denial they want to repeal Obamacare is pretty disingenuous, and Trump is echoing it. Again, they get that this is unpopular. Lion Kamala is giving a news conference now saying, I want to end the Affordable Care Act, Trump posted on social media today. I never mentioned doing that, never even thought about such a thing. Okay. Well, again, we were all there, standing in the studio, covering it in real time when it happened, when Trump and congressional Republicans actually tried to repeal Obamacare twice. Remember? John McCain with the thumbs down? Did we dream all that? No, we didn't dream all that. It died because it was wildly unpopular. It remains incredibly unpopular in polling. But again, I don't think they care. They're going to try to do it, right? Go big. Legacy. Massive reform. And that's just one area. Those reforms may seem insignificant next to the Trump economic agenda. Again, it's almost hard to tell people this because it sounds so truly deranged in this period coming off of this huge inflation, which is now down, that the centerpiece of the Trump agenda is an enormous sales tax on all imported goods via tariffs. Nearly every reputable economist says it would cost average Americans thousands of dollars more a year than they already pay in taxes, like a net increase in the amount of money out of your pocket. It would definitely accelerate inflation because it makes things more expensive and likely cause a global trade war, possibly a global recession. Trump also has a plan to slash the federal budget across the board. The plan is to hire the world's richest man, Elon Musk, as some sort of spending czar to cut $2 trillion out of the budget. An austerity budget totally unheard of in modern history, something that virtually every economist says would be absolutely catastrophic to markets, to workers, to consumers, to everyone who actually relies on a functional government. And again, even Elon Musk seems to acknowledge that. In a town hall last week, the billionaire let slip that the Trump economic plan amounts to shock therapy to the U.S. economy. Mass deportations, right? They want to do that day one. An enormous national sales tax put in unilaterally because he can, because they're tariffs. And brutal cuts engineered by Musk that would, in his own words, cause hardship.
We have to reduce spending to live within our means. Yeah, that necessarily involves some temporary hardship, but it will ensure long-term prosperity.
Says the billionaire, says the world's richest man. Reduce spending, live within our means. Temporary hardship for you, peasants. The guy that bought Twitter for $44 billion and just destroyed more than half its value in past 2 years while turning it into a clearinghouse for far-right disinformation conspiracy theories. All while pouring hundreds of millions into Trump's campaign, including a probably illegal $1 million day sweepstakes to get voters registered for Trump. I mean, economists do agree with Musk on the hardship part. They don't see the promised prosperity coming after the recession and the spiking prices and the constricting labor supply. But don't worry, I'm sure the rocket guy who gets $3 billion a year in federal contracts will cut government spending very carefully and fairly, right? Now, Musk is just one of the dangerously weird and extreme cranks that would get hold of the levers of actual power of government in a second Trump administration. Perhaps the weirdest member of that gallery is, of course, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the wild conspiracy theorist who once drove from Massachusetts to New York with the head of a whale he cut off on a Cape Cod beach. The man whose anti-vaccine nonprofit network was banned from social media for misinformation after it played a role in a measles outbreak that killed dozens of people in Samoa in 2019, many of them children. Good work, RFK. And this is what Kennedy says he will be in charge of if Trump returns to power.
The key that I think that President Trump has promised me is control of the public health agencies, which are HHS and its sub-agencies, CDC, FDA, NIH, and a few others.
Whoa, 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 whoa. The anti-vax crank is going to be in charge of NIH, HHS, CDC, and FDA? Okay, maybe you think this guy is just blowing smoke, right? If you think it's crazy, listen to what Trump himself had to say about his plans for RFK Jr.
Having him is such a great honor. I've been friends of his for a long time. And I'm going to let him go wild on health. I'm going to let him go wild on the food. I'm going to let him go wild on medicines.
Oh, yeah. Let RFK go wild on health and food. And then there's Howard Lutnick. This is the actual co-chair of the Trump-Vance transition team. Like, this is the guy. I mean, I've been around transitions. This is a very important role, okay? He's shepherding the transition. On Wednesday, Lutnick said he spoke to RFK Jr. for 2.5 hours at, I guess, a job interview, added it would be, quote, pretty cool to give the anti-vax crackpot the power to review vaccines in a Trump White House. Then he said this.
Vaccines are safe. RFK, I mean,
Why do you think vaccines are safe? There's no product liability anymore. They're not proven.
Kids get them and they're fine.
Why do you think they're fine?
But because they're proven scientifically to be so.
How about this? There was 1 in 10,000 people with autism.
Guys, they're not messing around here. He has bought in. It's an anti-vax party now. One of the greatest civilizational accomplishments. You ever read an account of like the colonies during smallpox? Like, do you understand what we're messing with here? It's like a child romping around a nuclear plant. A malevolent child. This is the closing message of the Trump campaign. A campaign that already pledged to pull federal funding from schools that require vaccination. That is a policy plank. And now they promise more cranks and weirdos and crackpots and more unnecessary deaths by the tens of thousands. And that is not hyperbole. We've already been through it with COVID. And it's not quite the central message of their campaign. I will admit, it's at the edges, right? The central message is, don't you hate trans people and immigrants? Donald Trump will stick it to them. But when you get past that, you look at what Trump is actually going to do, it is a wildly unpopular agenda, and their success entirely depends on people not really knowing or not believing that they're going to do in power what they say they will do. And here's hoping they spend the next 5 days telling all of us.